Hey everybody, Andrew Jordan again. I wanted to make a quick video in response to a viewer question about the afterlife in Judaism. Uh, this is certainly the case today and somewhat throughout history that Judaism is not as concerned with the afterlife as other religious traditions. That's not to say that it doesn't have a tradition of the afterlife or things to say about it, but the overwhelming focus of Judaism is this worldly, as we could say. So you'll find that the texts about the afterlife are of a different nature than other religious traditions, particularly thinking about Christianity and Islam, which have a very strong afterlife focus. Um, as you probably know, in the Hebrew Bible, the afterlife is referred to by the word Sheol, which actually comes from the same root as the word for question, She'elah. So it's kind of like the unknown, but it's thought of as a Hebrew version of Hades, sort of the underworld for the dead. And there was no really distinction between a difference if between the righteous and the unrighteous in terms of the afterlife. So I have here a series of sources that we're going to look through to understand the presentation of the afterlife in the Hebrew Bible and later rabbinic literature. Starting in the Hebrew Bible, we can see in Job that we have a reference to Sheol, right? And this is so he's going down to the grave. It's translated variously in English translations. This is an older translation, probably the 1917 Jewish Publication Society translation. Um, and so it's because the word itself is referring to that underworld concept. So you can see here that it talks about that in the Hebrew Bible, in the writing section of the Hebrew Bible. However, there are texts in the Hebrew Bible that have sort of kind of idea of resurrection that is starting to develop, which really flourishes in the Persian period, and afterwards probably through influence from Zoroastrianism, although that's not 100% um, agreed upon. So here in Isaiah, we have the phrase that the dead will live. Yihyu metecha, like your dead will rise or live again, and the body shall arise. So these are kind of shades of where you can see the resurrection idea being developed. Same thing in Daniel. The dust of the earth shall awake, some to everlasting life, and some to reproaches and everlasting abhorrence. So you can see there the idea of rewards and punishments being developed in the later part of the Hebrew Bible. Daniel is one of the younger books in the Hebrew Bible, rather newer books. When we get to the rabbinic period and also the intertestamental period, sort of Jubilees, Enoch, there's a lot of development there. But I wanted to present the rabbinic point of view. So here we have in Mishnah Hagigah, it says, anyone who looks into four things will be better off if he had not come into this world. What is above, what is below, what is before, and what is after. Anyone who has no consideration for the honor of his maker would be better off if he had not come into the world. And I think this is an important framing of the discussion, that it's not something that really people in Jewish spaces are that concerned about. And it comes from this sort of idea, this humility that we don't really know what happened in the afterlife. So, what's the point of worrying about it? Everybody will find out one of these days what it's like. So, it's not something I need to waste a lot of time thinking about right now. Um, in Pirkei Avot, which is an ethical treatise, we have another saying which indicates kind of a different point of view. This world is like a vestibule before the world to come. The world to come means the afterlife. Fix yourself up in this vestibule so that you will enter the banqueting hall. He would say, referring to Rabbi Yaakov, better 1 hour spent in repentance and good deeds in this world than the whole life in the world to come, and better 1 hour of bliss in the world to come than the whole life in this world. So it's basically saying that even though you shouldn't think about it in the what we had in the previous Mishnah, in this one it's saying, well, you should really spend your life thinking about the afterlife. And you'll find this quite a lot in rabbinic literature, where you have two polar opposite opinions. Um, and because this is not a legal statement, neither one of these are legal statements. No one is obliged to believe either one of them. So some people will gravitate more towards the first one, and some people will gravitate more towards this one. But there's no official decision as to which one is correct because it's not a legal point of view. It doesn't tell us how to behave, so it's not something that can be decided officially. That's the approach of rabbinic thinking to non legal material. The whole point of rabbinic Judaism is to tell you exactly how to live, how to incorporate the commandments into your life in a way that is practical and makes sense. And the afterlife is not a commandment, so it doesn't have any codification. When we proceed through the two other parts, we can say we're in Mishnah Eduyot 210. He used to say that there are five things that last 12 months: the judgment of the generation of the flood, 12 months; the judgment of Job, 12 months; the judgment of the Egyptians, 12 months; the judgment of Gog and Magog in the world in the time to come, 12 months; the judgment of the wicked in hell, 12 months. For it is said, and it will be from 1 month until the next appearance of the same month. Isaiah 66:23. Rabbi Yohanan, the son of Nuri, said, from Passover to Atzeret, for it is said, and from one Sabbath until the next Sabbath. So this introduces an interesting idea in the development of rabbinic Judaism, which is the idea of punishment, reward and punishment. So in the afterlife, there is a period of punishment that's envisioned for people who don't live up to their full potential in this world. However, the punishment in the afterlife only lasts for 12 months. So the Jewish version of hell is similar to the Catholic version of purgatory. It's a chance for people to continue the process of improving themselves, and to resolve issues that they weren't able to resolve in their own lifetimes. And so that's what the text is pointing out there. Um, Now, in the next text, we have a characterization of what is the world to come like? What is the afterlife like? And you might notice something that sounds familiar as you look at this text. Rav had a favorite saying: the world to come is not at all like this world. In the world to come, there is no eating, no drinking, no procreation, no commerce, no envy, no hatred, no rivalry. The righteous sit with their crowns on their heads and enjoy the radiance of the Shekhinah, which is the word for the divine presence, as it is written, and they saw God and they ate and drank. So this reminds me of a saying of Jesus in the Gospels, actually two sayings, and I'm going to quote them out of memory. So if I get them wrong, you'll hopefully forgive me. One is that there is no when he's asked about the woman who has been divorced, and they ask which husband does she belong to in the world to come, and Jesus says something like this: that there's no marrying. People don't get married in the world to come. So this is probably we're coming from the same idea, which might have been common among a variety of different sects in Judaism of that time. And then there's also the case of the crowns upon their heads, which reminds me of the time when Jesus' disciples ask him about who will rule in the world to come. They probably meant the Messianic age, but this is something that I'm not going to cover quite in this video, but there's an overlap between the Messianic age and the world to come in rabbinic text. It's not clearly delineated which is which. Due to the lack of writing or thinking about this topic, because it doesn't fit within the parameters of what the rabbinic project is. So you'll find various statements like this throughout the rabbinic literature, but nothing definitively says this is what it is or this is what it is not. Um, and so you have a series of statements which kind of are different rabbis' opinions about the afterlife. So here we have Rabbi Yohanan said, everyone who exerted himself oneself in Torah study in this world, in the world to come, will not be set down to sleep, but rather will be led to the Beit Midrash of Shem and Ever, and of Abraham, Isaac, and Yaakov, and Moses and Aaron. So it's basically saying that if you study Torah, you're going to be rewarded. And these are just statements. So a lot of times you'll see these statements used to show which things are important to do in this world. Um, like for the next one where it talks about the things that a person enjoys in this world while the principle remains within the world to come. So if you do these things now, you'll get more reward later. Honoring parents, loving acts of loving kindness, bringing peace between people, and the study of Torah. Okay. Here we go. This is probably the most famous statement about the afterlife in the rabbinic literature, and it's found in Mishnah Sanhedrin. All Jews have a share in the world to come, as it says, Isaiah 60:20-1. Thy people are all righteous, they shall inherit the land forever, the branch of my planting, the work of my hands, that I may be glorified. End quote. These have no share in the world to come. One who says that the belief of the resurrection of the dead is not from the Torah, one who says that the Torah is not from heaven, and an apikoros. And Rabbi Akiva says, also one who reads outside books, meaning apocryphal books, and one who whispers an incantation over a wound, saying, I will bring none of these diseases upon thee that I brought upon the Egyptians, for I am the Lord that healeth thee. From Exodus 15:26. Abba Shaul says, also one who utters the divine name as it is spelled or written. So this is a statement of who gets to share in the world to come, and it says all Jews have a share in the world to come, unless you say that the Torah does not talk about resurrection, or that you say that Torah is not from heaven. So this is kind of the closest thing that you're going to get to a creed also in Judaism, which is boundaries upon which the community is established, and these boundaries exist to make sure that the legal authority of Torah is upheld. So you need Torah to be to discuss these matters, so that people authenticate it, and you also need Torah to be from heaven to that is maintain its authority as a legal text. There's also some sectarian debates here between the apikoros. What does that mean? There's a lot of discussion about that. It's not important for now. Also, some discussion of outside texts, which are apocryphal texts, probably relating somewhat to Christianity in the early phases, but also not important for this video. And so then in the Gemara, which is the Talmud, it explains where do we see resurrection in the Torah, because it's known not to really talk about that. And it says, then Moses and the children of Israel sing this song unto the Lord, not saying, but shall sing is written. So it's a future tense. So they're looking at a portion of the Torah and using the future tense there to say that it is referring to the resurrection later. Now, that is probably the main part of the rabbinic literature. And then we get into later texts, which I will cut off for now. We might talk about that at a different time. I also just wanted to briefly mention some texts where we learn that the Gentiles of the nations also can share in the world to come. In the Mishnah Torah, which is a restatement of Talmudic literature, we have the statement that the righteous of the non-Jews also have a share in the world to come. This is how this is understood in most um, in all Jewish circles now, that anyone who is righteous, meaning that they follow ethical teachings of the Noahide laws, which is considers things such as not murdering, not telling lies, not committing adultery, these kinds of things, that those people, regardless of who they are, will also have a share in the world to come. So that is a taste of the afterlife in Judaism. If you like this video, I hope you'll like it below and share the content, as well as subscribe to the channel. You can find my writing at www.drajordan.com. Also, you can find my book, Jesus the Nazarene, the Talmud and the Founder of Christianity, on Amazon. I hope you have a great day.